years that retail theft has been a tremendous issue, a real challenge for municipalities across the state of Illinois and throughout the country. And we also know it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now. And organized retail theft is costing retailers millions of dollars a week, and we need stronger tools to fight that. And this legislation is a strong step in the right direction. And I want to thank Representative Buckner, Attorney General Raoul, and especially Governor Pritzker for their leadership on this issue. Law enforcement needs all the tools they can get, and this certainly will be an extra tool in their toolbox. So on behalf of downtown Chicago, our residents and our retail community, thank you, Governor and Attorney General and Representative, and also to the Retail Merchants Association and the Restaurant Association for their continued advocacy to get this done. So this is a great day, and my hope is the legislature will build on this progress and continue to give law enforcement tougher tools to crack down on crimes like this. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the Governor of the great state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Alderman Riley, and good morning to everyone. This morning is about Illinois taking another important step to fight crime and to advance our public safety. Nationwide, coordinated retail robberies are on the rise, including right here on Michigan Avenue. It's a dangerous trend for store employees and customers alike. And thanks to a broad bipartisan coalition in the General Assembly, Illinois is taking action to disrupt these organized retail crime rings with the bill that I'll sign into law today. Let me be clear, this is not aimed at a low-income parent desperate to feed their child. It's not about a kid making a short-sighted mistake. This is about a multi-billion-dollar industry of organized criminals carrying out sophisticated theft operations to turn a profit on the resale market. In December alone, Attorney General Kwame Raoul's Organized Retail Crime Task Force retrieved $1 million worth of stolen goods from storage units not far from where we stand today. No, this is not about the one-off shoplifting incident. It's much bigger than that. This is about the safety of our communities. It's about preventing militarized storefronts and empty commercial corridors. Attorney General Kwame Raoul has been a terrific leader in our collective work to forge a smarter and better public safety that keeps our residents and our businesses safe. I want to recognize him for that, as well as President Don Harmon, Speaker Chris Welch, and sponsors Senator Susie Glowiak-Hilton and Representative Cam Buckner. They built the coalition needed to bring this bill across the finish line in the legislature. And none of it could have happened without Rob Carr and Chauncey Rice and the Illinois Retail Merchants Association, as well as law enforcement and business leaders across this state. This legislation is the latest step in Illinois' efforts to advance a better vision of public safety. We're deploying an unprecedented statewide investment in community safety, $250 million to disrupt cycles of violence in our neighborhoods. We've also enacted the most comprehensive reform to our state firearms laws in over a generation, including universal background checks to keep guns out of the hands of those who shouldn't have them. We substantially increased mental health and substance use treatment that so often leads to interactions with law enforcement, and we coordinated 911 and 988 services to make sure that those experiencing behavioral health emergencies receive the care they need. And earlier this week, I signed laws reinvigorating the Violent Crime Witness Protection Act and launching a victim-centered co-responder pilot program to pair victims and witnesses with trauma-informed social workers. I look forward to furthering our commitment to building a public safety system that works for all of us, including ensuring the victim rights advanced today are carried through our justice system. Today we take another step in the right direction, and then our work continues. With that, I have the honor of introducing a true leader in safety and justice, our terrific Attorney General, Kwame Raoul.
Thank you, Governor, and I'm proud to stand here with you today for this effort and all of the efforts you have been advancing and the legislature has been advancing to fight crime within the state. I really want to give a strong shout out to Rob Carr and the Illinois Retail Merchants Association for the work we have done together in many late nights or early mornings that blended into the next morning at the state capitol. To the Speaker and Senate President and our sponsors, Senator Glowiak Hilton and Representative Buckner, I thank you for the effort. It was a very challenging effort to move this through the legislature. Now, I really need to be honest with you. A bit over a year ago, I did not know what organized retail crime was. I would have easily mistaken it for ordinary retail theft. I was approached as I was at a conference out of state and presented with a presentation that showed me criminal warehouses that if you were to walk into it, you would think that you were in a hardware store. Showed me video of very brazen, violent acts, not necessarily in urban areas like we've seen in on North Michigan Avenue or at the Oak Brook Center, but in rural areas at big box stores and smaller mom and pop stores. And one of the things that we've done is we've traveled around the state after creating an organized retail crime task force, educating not only retailers, but law enforcement. Educating law enforcement because law enforcement, like me, might have mistaken some of these acts as isolated acts or organic acts of retail theft when they're actually very well coordinated crimes that involve a manager of a crime ring, an organized crime ring. And it's important to note that organized retail crime is very much linked to other dangerous criminal activity, such as human trafficking, gun trafficking, drug trafficking, in some instances terrorism. The proceeds of organized retail crime can go towards funding some of that activity. In the old days, you're familiar with maybe small groups engaging in retail theft and pawning items at the pawn shop or at the flea market or in the back alley. But now there is a tool available to these crime rings that makes it a very profitable endeavor, and those are the online marketplaces. These crime rings utilize the online marketplaces to easily resell these items and be able to fuel some other criminal activity that they're engaged in. As the governor mentioned, this past December, our task force was successful in recovering what we thought was at the time $1 million worth of items, but it was actually millions of dollars worth of items. We have other ongoing investigations working with both federal and local law enforcement partners, and it's important to note that no one law enforcement agency can solve this problem, because this problem does not restrict itself to a municipality or a county. It goes across county boundaries, and that's in part why this legislation was needed, to give both my office and Cook County and county state's attorney's offices authority to prosecute crimes that may cross county boundaries. But it doesn't even restrict itself to state boundaries. And that's why I'm engaged with attorneys general. I co-chair a organized retail crime working group with Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, because it is a national problem. It doesn't restrict itself to states with big municipalities like Illinois. Rural heavy states suffer this problem just as to the same extent that Illinois does. And so with that, I'm really thankful to the legislature. It's always good to visit my old colleagues in the legislature, but not necessarily till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at the Capitol. But we did the work and we advanced the bill, and hopefully Illinois shoppers, employees, and retail establishments will be safer for it. One last thing I need to say, that this is not only a criminal issue, that we're not only approaching this from our criminal lens. This is a consumer protection issue as well. Because what you have to understand is when these items are stolen and put on online marketplaces to unsuspecting consumers, and not some of these items are food items, and if they're not stored appropriately, if it's a baby food, for instance, and not stored, it becomes a consumer protection issue. If it's a new appliance being sold as a new appliance with no warranty, it's a consumer protection issue. So we've told online marketplaces, we've invited them into the kitchen to cook up the recipe to fight this organized retail crime activity. But if they don't come into the kitchen in good faith, they're going to be on the menu. We're very serious about it. Online marketplaces have the intellectual resources to sell you products when you don't even know you want them. So they have the intellectual resource to get criminals off of their platforms. With that, I want to pass it on to Representative Buckner.
Thank you, Mr. General, and thank you, Governor Pritzker, for your leadership on this, President Harmon, Speaker Welch, for taking on the mantle of getting this done, to Senator Glowiak Hilton for your work as well. It was a pleasure to work with you on this bill. Cracking down on organized retail theft will not only strike a blow against organized crime, it will provide vital relief to small businesses in this community and around the state. After a deadly pandemic and challenges arising from inflation, theft and destruction of their property is the last thing that small businesses need. Codifying this legislation is just another step the Democrats are taking and have taken to address public safety challenges in our communities. I thank Governor Pritzker for doing his part in signing this bill into law. Creating a new offense will allow prosecutors to target smash and grab criminals who work in groups to profit by hurting their neighbors and neighborhoods. We're continuing to ensure that law enforcement has the tools they need to do their jobs by creating a fund dedicated to ending these crimes. Alderman Riley talked a little bit about having tools in the toolbox to deal with this. This is better tools for a better fight. This legislation also creates the Inform Act, which regulates online marketplaces and helps prevent the sale of stolen goods online, as you heard earlier. Listen, nationally, we know, as the Attorney General said, this is a problem. Nationally, $15 billion in tax revenue is lost to state and local governments because of organized retail crime. That means less money for schools, for violence prevention, for roads, for bridges, for hospitals. This is necessary work, and once again, Illinois is leading, and we are the tip of the spear of getting it right. I would like to take this moment now to introduce Senator Susie Glowiak Hilton, who was the Senate sponsor of this bill, who I was privileged to work with on this legislation.
Thank you. I'm Senator Susie Glowiak Hilton. I represent the 24th Senate District, and I was the chief sponsor in the Organized Retail Crime Deterrence Initiative. As the governor officially signs the Organized Retail Crime Act into law today, Illinois is enacting one of the most comprehensive crime curbing efforts in the nation. We need this now because this type of crime has increased in the last few years with the use of social media to organize and to recruit and to plan and then resell this stolen merchandise. This law is an effort to reduce the frequency, magnitude, and severity of organized crimes in the retail establishments across the state. We've all seen those video images of the smash and grabs. In Oak Brook, where I represent, shoppers and employees found themselves in the middle of a crime spree. The organized retail crime bill addresses systemic concerns raised by law enforcement, prosecutors, and business advocacy groups to bring the ringleaders to justice. This law permits prosecutors to bring charges against offenders regardless of where the crime takes place. Our Attorney General explained how it's cross-jurisdictional. Each jurisdiction could have the opportunity to prosecute the entire crime. Filed under House Bill 1091, this law codifies a legal definition for organized retail crime and provides prosecutors with new resources to charge the individuals who are plotting, recruiting, and stealing for profit. As organized retail theft becomes more prevalent across the country, in Illinois we are working with prosecutors and law enforcement to update the practices and make smart investments to combat the uptick and prioritize public safety for residents, workers, and the entire community. I want to thank Attorney General Kwame Raoul and his team. What we've done in the state budget is to increase their funding so that they have the resources in order to do this important work. The Illinois Retail Merchants Association, I want to thank them for their partnership. They did work long into the night, many nights with me doing negotiations on this. I appreciate all the work that they did. Deterring retail crime starts with supporting law enforcement, with holding the ringleaders responsible, and making it tougher to sell those stolen goods. I thank the governor for his support, and I would like to introduce President Harmon, who was very instrumental in helping me to negotiate this and move this forward. Thank you.
Good morning, all. This new law goes after large-scale smash-and-grab outfits preying on our businesses. It sends a clear message that there will be swift consequences for those conspiring to take advantage of our retailers. I want to thank Senator Susie Glowiak Hilton for her leadership and dedication and incredible determination in making sure that this law happened. Beyond the work in the Senate and the House and with the governor's enthusiastic signature today, I do also want to join the chorus in thanking the Illinois retail merchants and our former colleague in the Senate, Attorney General Kwame Raoul. Without their creativity and constructive compromise, this bill would not have happened. So I thank everyone else for making this a reality, and it is my privilege to present my friend and colleague and partner, the Speaker of the House, Chris Welch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's an honor to be here and stand here with my colleagues in the General Assembly and with our dynamic leader of the state, the governor of this great state, J.B. Pritzker. Being here today to watch the governor sign another critical piece of our public safety package is one that I'm really proud of. I specifically want to thank Representative Cam Buckner, who chairs the House Black Caucus, Senator Glowiak Hilton, who is a neighbor of mine in the western suburbs, the Illinois Retail Merchants Association, my friend the Attorney General Kwame Raoul, and many others who prioritize this really important piece of legislation. The work began putting this bill together last November, December. Those long nights the Attorney General talked about really went on for months to make sure we came to a good solution. And this really is a good solution. And it's thanks to that collaborative effort that we have this comprehensive and holistic approach to combating this rise in organized retail crime. When we created the House Public Safety Working Group, I knew that that group's listening sessions with advocates and stakeholders across the state would be instrumental in the creation of legislation that would respond directly to the needs of our communities. This is an example of that. Good legislation is always the result of listening to the stakeholders, the people who are in the trenches. We listened, we heard, and we responded. We heard from business owners and entrepreneurs and organizations like the Illinois Retail Merchants Association about the uptick in organized retail crime, and the harm that it was causing to the people of this state and the hard-working business owners. And we worked together with them at the table to find the solution. We worked together to get this comprehensive approach, and I'm proud that the governor is ready to put his pen on the solution. Thank you, Governor. Thank you to everyone who got this done, and specific thanks to Rob Carr, the Illinois Retail Merchants, and Chauncey Rice, who's next here at the podium from the Illinois Retail Merchants Association. Thank you all.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Chauncey Rice with the Illinois Retail Merchants Association, and it's an honor to be here today to represent over 23,000 stores from every corner of the state, from the nation's largest retailers to small mom-and-pop businesses, as Governor Pritzker prepares to sign into law one of the strongest and most comprehensive measures in the nation to address organized retail crime. As we all know, and some of us have unfortunately experienced, brazen thefts have been on the rise across the nation, and unfortunately right here at home as well, with organized mobs descending on stores and communities all across the state. These brazen acts not only place retail employees and customers at risk, but also deprive local municipalities and the state of much needed tax dollars. So to be clear, this law does not target petty retail theft, as the governor mentioned earlier here today, but this targets ringleaders of organized retail crime who often use proceeds from the sale of stolen goods to fund other illicit activities, including human trafficking and even terrorism. So this important piece of legislation will help to combat these unlawful activities by addressing the problem from multiple angles, such as providing prosecutors with more tools to hold bad actors accountable, requiring more oversight of third-party marketplaces where stolen goods are sold, and providing stronger rights for victims of organized retail crime. So on behalf of our state's retail community, Governor Pritzker, we thank you for taking swift and decisive action on this issue, and Attorney General Kwame Raoul, we of course offer our deep appreciation for your partnership and steadfast leadership throughout this process. And last but not least, we'd like to thank legislative sponsors, Senator Susie Glowiak-Hilton, thank you, and Representative Cam Buckner, thank you as well. You guys helped us shepherd this through the legislation by working in a collaborative and bipartisan fashion. So again, thank you all. Thank you for your time. And with that, we'll have the signing of the bill. Governor Pritzker.
We're happy to take any questions from members of the media.
Governor, how would you respond to critics throughout the last few months who have pointed out that since even before the pandemic, various crimes, like property crimes, which would include retail theft, burglary, et cetera, have actually gone down? And not just that, but there's laws on the books that address conspiracy cases on criminal enterprises in the state. So given all that, can you still talk about why a law like this is needed this way?
Sure, and I'm going to ask the Attorney General to jump up just in a moment, but I just want to say many of those critics are people who didn't stand up to make the laws stronger. They complained an awful lot. They never participated in any of the efforts that we've made to, try to make public safety better for everybody, to make our communities better, our neighborhoods safer for families. And so it's the critics can say whatever they want, but this was a significant effort to protect our retailers as well as the people who work at the retail establishments and their customers. I'll let the Attorney General come.
They haven't gone down. The data that you heard with regards to the tax revenue loss because of specifically organized retail crime, which is what we're here to discuss today, not crime generally, but organized retail crime has gone up, not only here in Illinois, but nationally. With regards to things like RICO, any prosecutor's office, state, county prosecutor's office will tell you it's a very difficult thing to navigate. It's rarely used in the state. That's why we honed in on language to target this specific criminal activity. You're talking about crime generally. We can have that debate, but we're talking about organized retail crime today. No, I'm not talking about crime statistics. I'm talking about loss to retail establishments. I'm talking about people who are afraid to walk out here on Michigan Avenue to go shopping or to Oak Brook Center or, quite frankly, in the neighborhoods. I'm talking about if you walk into a Walgreens or a CVS, it becomes increasingly inconvenient because they have to protect their products. You have got to get an attendant to unlock things. There's all sorts of evidence of this going up, not down.
Governor, I have an off-topic, if you don't mind, item on this here.
Sure.
Senator Bailey and other GOP opponents say you were afraid to be with the president who came to key this week when he talked inflation and grocery prices. When those issues are such a big topic to so many people, why didn't you adjust your schedule? And I have a follow-up as well.
Well, I was with the president. I think you saw for the okay, but I mean, I was with the president during that day. People took pictures of us together. We spent a lot of time, frankly, discussing things that are important for Illinois. So I'm not sure where that criticism really is based.
Today, there's a new ad from the Democratic Governors Association. You've given quite generously to that group. The ad implies that Bailey is too conservative for Illinois. Might that only help Bailey in the primary to point out his conservative roots?
Look, I'm focused on beating the Republicans in November. And so let me start with, I'm a Democrat and I'm a Democratic governor. So yeah, I support the Democratic Governors Association and have for some time. I think everything that's in that ad is accurate. I mean, he is wrong for Illinois. He is somebody who stands up against Roe v. Wade. He's somebody who stands up opposed to advancing the interests of working families across Illinois. And, so I'm going to say so. Are you saying that when I criticize a Republican that's I say when I criticize Republicans, it elevates attention to all of the good that Democrats have done in the state and that I as governor have done in the state? I'm not afraid of any of the Republicans. We're going to run a tough race against Republicans. We've got 6.5 months, I think, until the general election. We're going to beat them in November, but we're just, they're attacking me every single day. The Democratic Governors Association is, I think, responding to some of that.
If I can follow up on that, this happened 4 years ago with the TBI's Bruce Robinson, PGA came in, talking up TBI, saying she's too conservative, which brings out more conservative voters voting for her. This looks like it's more meddling by Democrats in the Republican primary. Can you respond to that?
You got to remember that Darren Bailey sued me, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, to take mitigations away that, frankly, have ended up with people dying in the state of Illinois. Darren Bailey's been attacking my policies since day one. Certainly, if he becomes the Republican nominee, he's going to be a tough competitor. I'm simply trying to tell everybody who Darren Bailey really is.
Would you rather face Darren Bailey than Richard Irvin? Because Irvin more moderate?
It's a mess over there. I have no idea who's going to win that Republican primary. I mean, I think there are 6 candidates running. You know, it's early. There seem to be more undecided voters there than there are people who've decided on somebody.
So you have contributed so that the funds from this ad.
I'm sorry, what?
So you personally have contributed to the Democratic Governors Association. You're behind this ad.
I have, you know, I mean, there's a whole history of my contributing to the Democratic Governors Association, not just in the last year, I guess, but also over the course of the time since I began running for governor in 2017.
Speaker Welch, just one question for you, please, while we're on a roll here. Is it good practice to ask members of your own caucus to raise big money for your wife's judicial campaign?
Marianne, let me respond this way. I have 3 points to that. First of all, signing up to be Speaker of the House, I didn't know waived my right to support my wife and my family. My wife is my wife and my best friend, and I'm going to support my wife. That's first and foremost. Second, my wife is exceptionally qualified as rated by most of the judicial bar associations. People should really be talking about her qualifications and not who her husband is. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to the people of the Fourth Sub-Circuit. And they really should be talking about an exceptionally qualified black woman who can make history. Sub-circuits were created to elect minorities to the bench. And here's a sub-circuit that's never elected a black person or a woman to the bench. And now, according to most bar associations, they have a choice of an exceptionally qualified black woman. Third, the people that have donated, what you all are not talking about is that those are our family members. I've spent 10 years with the people that donated to my wife. We vacationed together. Our kids had play dates together. They know this exceptionally qualified black woman. And many of them have reached out and said, how can we help? Voluntarily have said, how can we help? And let me add a 4th point. Nothing that has been reported on the last couple of days is unethical or illegal. Everything has been done the right way, and everything has been reported according to the laws of this state. And those are the things that people should be talking about. Let's not lose focus that the people of the Fourth Sub-Circuit have the choice to elect an exceptionally qualified black woman to the bench.